After being defeated by the hero, the demon lord reincarnates on Earth and decides to dominate the world. A necromancer by the name of the corpse god is on the loose and attacking people, killing them, and threatening to turn everyone into zombies, but the church cannot have any of that. They deploy their most talented calamity crusher, the knight Shagrua. After many of the guards are impaled by the corpse god, given the name after his favorite hobby of causing many corpses for no reason at all. The guards call on a sorcerer and Shagrua for help. When they arrive, Shagrua doesn't waste any time and takes on the corpse god. With an eye that sees the souls of everything and everyone dead, he's disgusted by the sight of corpse god and the many souls he has. He warns him to stop playing the Grim Reaper when he's just a necromancer with the very same eye that can see the dead souls, the evil eye. Corpse god reminds Shagrua that he's just like him, possessing an evil eye and killing people just because he can. They both play the Grim Reaper's game even when Shagrua acts righteous. Corpse god's reasons are different from his. He dreams of a peaceful land, where children will laugh without having to worry about criminals and church guards who would kill them if they dared to be a little different. He has taken up the mission to make it a point that his dream comes true by killing everyone who threatens that dream, even if it means he has to be the epitome of his name. Corpse god, even more. He actually doesn't mind the killing since he doesn't think very highly of other living beings. They are like toys to him that he can play with at any time. It's just the children that he cares about, especially necromancer children. Shagrua dismisses his true claims because he works for the church. He doesn't even understand why the corpse god would even try to fight to protect the lives of necromancer children. With those righteous words, he faces corpse god with his own magic as corpse retaliates with his very own magic that Shagrua doesn't understand the pattern of, and a fierce fight ensues. As the corpse god shoots his magic at Shagrua, Shagrua himself tries to deal him the final blow. They both go all in and don't hold back. The sorcerer immediately lends a helping hand to Shagrua to take corpse god down once and for all. Everything goes dark for the corpse god as if he dies, but he finally opens his eyes to a different world. A world unfamiliar to him. This shocks him so much because he was just in a battle with Shagrua and he doesn't remember what happened after that. Now he's in some modern-looking back alley. He looks at his hands and sees how small they are. He reckons that he's in a different body, a body of a young boy. He tries to say something but realizes that he can't use his voice. He suddenly hears voices coming from the streets around the corner, and he immediately rushes over there. He looks around and marvels at the sight of this new world. A drone hovers above him as if keeping an eye on him. The world he's woken up in is modern with technology so advanced that there are screens of moving pictures advertising more advanced technology. One of the more advanced technologies is the drone that is feeding live footage to a man sitting in front of multiple monitors freaking out at the sight of him. He thinks that he's losing his mind by seeing a slit-throat boy and blood on his t-shirt walking around like that is normal. The corpse god walks around looking at the signs and the buildings. There are so many people and the children look very healthy and happy. This comes as a delight, but he can't help but wonder about his old world. He doesn't know if he can ever go back there. The police spot him and immediately go to him to help him, but they speak a different language. He doesn't understand Japanese. Yet with every word, he gains more data from the body's brain since the kid whose body he possesses now was a native Japanese, Polka Shinoyama. The police are concerned about the slit of his throat, and although he's no longer bleeding, they decide to call an ambulance for him. He now seems to understand that he must have been reborn as some kid in another world, and that's the only reason he's still alive. Before he can answer the officer's questions, a girl who acts very familiar with him suddenly shows up by stepping on the head of the officer and taking him away from the officers. She says that she's glad that he's okay as she does this, talking about how cops are a pain even though they were trying to help. After they get away into some other back alleyway with no one around, she introduces herself to him as Misaki. He thinks that maybe Polka is friends with the girl, or at least he might have known her personally. She grabs him by the legs and frisks him to search and feels his warmth to see if he's indeed alive. He thanks her for saving his life, but she tells him not to because she's just going to have to kill him again as she was the one who killed him, or Polka, the first time too. She brings out the weapon that she used the first time when she slit his throat, and the friendly and happy look on her face changes to a crazy and psycho one, and she goes for the attack. The corpse god in Polka's body, who will now refer to as Polka, runs away from her. Takumi is watching everything unfold and wonders why the 16-year-old Polka was put a target on, and why they hired a complete psycho to do the job. But ultimately all he cares about is the dough, so he just hopes that Polka dies and stays dead this time around so that he can get paid. Polka runs into a building and hides there. He doesn't understand what's going on. He can't even defend himself because how this new world lacks magical elements. There is nothing in the air, and he can't sense any spirits. All he can do for now is run away from Misaki. He hopes that he can stay away from her because if she wounds him, he won't heal. That means he could die for real because the boy's body is kind of weak and young to do any of the stunts he did in his old world. Soon enough, though, Misaki arrives through a window and surprises him with an attack with her knives. He manages to evade those attacks unscathed and she's very impressed. No one has ever put up for that long and it excites her so much, it makes her ant more. Polka picks up a steel pipe from the ground and swings at her with it, but she blocks it with her leg as she throws her knives at him. A slight fight ensues, and after managing to dodge some of the attacks, he gets stabbed in the leg as he thinks about the happy children he saw outside haunts him. It was the life he's always dreamed of and it was almost within his grasp's reach, but now he was just on the verge of another Grim Reaper for God knows what. He takes out the knife from his leg, throws it back to her, and makes another run for it because he will not die when he's come this far. He runs into a room as Misaki follows him, swooning over how he's basically dodging her attacks more. The room seems empty, except with some drums, a hook, a tub, and some cans of acid maybe, and he wonders out loud what it is. Misaki comes in and reveals that the room is used as an execution room, as she throws her knives at him, and he falls to the ground. It's for when gangsters and other thugs kill people artfully so. She says it's believed that there are ghosts in there. And funny enough, Polka sees them with his evil eye. Many of them are stuffed in the tub, some cut in halves, and some hang by the neck. He sees all of this and says so out loud. Evidently, the evil eye is attached to the soul of the possesses and not the flesh and brain of them, which is why he has it even though he's in a different world and a different body. He realizes that terrible humans and their desire to kill are not something that can be escaped. If someone kills, they probably don't have any respect for people's lives. More like him in the past, they see them as toys. Misaki doesn't care about this. She doesn't care about his advocacy for the value of human life. He does admit to thinking that lives should be treated better, and Misaki still doesn't care. She just thinks she should do a better job at making sure her targets die and not wake up later. She charges at him as she retorts, but he tells her to not be so careless about this precious life that he's supposed to toy with. He also only cares so that he can be the only one to Grim Reap. His magic powers suddenly come back and surround him, and he summons a humongous skeleton hand to stab Misaki against a wall through the gut. In his old world, Shagruwa is standing before the scene beating himself up for not being able to completely kill the corpse god. But he's told that it's alright since Corpse's energy is no longer in the air, he has been completely wiped out. But Shagruwa recalls that at the final moment when his sword was about to impale him, Corpse's teleportation magic activated. He doesn't believe Corpse would just up and leave so suddenly. He doesn't buy that the corpse god is gone. It feels like a trick, but he still hopes that he has saved the world. But Shagruwa is right. Corpse god is alive and well, fighting against Misaki, whom he has pinned by his gigantic skeleton hand and is collecting magic power from having killed Misaki. Polka thanks Misaki for bringing him to this place where he can finally find peace and live as freely as he wanted. The place is filled with spirit and magic that he can now do whatever he wanted. He unleashes his full magic to go toe-to-toe with her and play the Grim Reaper games. Watch this next video. See you on the next one.